Hello, everyone.
Hey, Miss Adele, how are you?
Okay, how's everyone?
Doing good. I'm doing
Good,
good.
good.
Dude, I made me some stew the other day. Shoot, I've been eating on this stew. I've been eating it breakfast, lunch, dinner. Ain't nobody
What
eating it
stew?
but me. Some stew, but I ain't put no beef in. I had some drumsticks. You know, one of the program people gave us, I put them in there instead of stew beef. It made me some stew with some vegetables and potatoes and carrots and diced tomatoes and tomato paste and man, that's still saying something.
That
Got
sounds
spring
good.
beans, corn, and I've
Where'd you
been
get
eating
that
on it.
from, Denise?
I just made it.
Okay. Okay.
No, I made it, but I've been eating on it. Nobody eat it but me. So I eat a breakfast lunch. I love stews. I don't care what kind.
Okay.
I love soups. I get a
Mm,
can of that chunky soup too. I like that chicken corn chowder. That
Oh,
chunky soup,
okay.
that's good. And the barley
Mm.
and them chunky soups, some of them pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Even some crackers, some sauteing crackers.
Yeah.
You dip it down in the soup.
I
Man.
hear you now.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, ain't gotta
Yeah.
be cold outside, eat no stew. It's right on
Right.
your
Mhm.
taste. I've been wanting some beans and neck bones, or I mean beans and put some kind of meat in it,
Yeah.
but I haven't fixed them yet. But I be like, shoot. Then I had taste for some chili.
Oh, I love chili.
Me too.
Like your background, Brenda, and
Oh,
was
thank you.
and
Yeah.
Diane, and like the background.
Yeah. One of my
Denise,
coloring
Denise,
Oh,
coloring
thank you.
pictures.
Like yours too. Them pretty
thank you,
roses.
thank you.
Yeah. You can't never go wrong with roses.
Nope, I love
Never.
yours.
Oh, thank you. I did too. I'm trying to make it big, but when I make it bigger, it take off some of the, flowers to show more of the
Yeah,
vase.
yeah.
So when I pick the pictures, sometimes I don't know until when I put them on, they too big.
Okay.
I gotta find out how you make them, smaller. The only way it gets smaller if how it cut off, then you can see it. Like if I cut it off, then you can see the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's cute too. The house. I like to live in that house.
You like it? Yeah.
Right about
Me
now.
too. Me too, Denise.
Look like one of them houses out in the country,
Uh-huh.
on the
Yeah.
country road.
Anybody heard from Portia yet?
No.
Portia don't answer her phone. It goes straight to voicemail.
Oh, I hope she okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
me too.
She might not be feeling well, but look like her husband would call the help desk
Yeah.
and tell.
Yeah. That is no.
I wonder, do they have emergency number for? I don't even know. Did they ever get emergency number for us? And, because some of us live alone, and
No.
something happened, and they can say, "Oh well, we got emergency number for them."
Yeah.
Like
I was wondering about Portia myself. I'd like to know how she's doing.
Yeah, I got her number and I've been calling her. I've been calling her every day, but it goes straight to voicemail. I left some messages. I text her a couple of times, so she never responded. So
Well, I hope she okay.
yeah.
Where she live at?
Oh, I don't know where she lived. All I have is her phone number she gave me.
Because I was saying maybe one of the staff, somebody can go check on her. Go past and, just say they were just doing a courtesy. find out
Mhm.
was everything, okay.
Well, heck, they need to do that for a lot of them, because
What about
Yeah.
we ain't heard from Anita.
from Dina?
Dina's
She
on there.
leaves
Dina
at-
was on there today.
Hi everyone.
Neil?
Dina was on today. She's on, so she's
Okay.
still well.
I just
Good
don't look
afternoon.
at the faces, so I don't really know.
Yes. Hi, Miss Duckett. How are you?
All right. I enjoyed this morning.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I enjoyed it myself. I just been a little busy today, but it was informative, and it was just nice to have a little bit of downtime towards the end. So
Alex,
Mhm.
can I ask you a question?
sure, Miss Duckett. How can I help you?
The session that Teresa was talking about, how would I know?
I'm gonna be eating y'all. Someone.
What I mean is, those codes that she was talking, those things she was talking about, how would I know that they're on my bags and what have you?
I'm sorry. I wasn't there for the whole session. Can you just restate your question for me, please?
Because she was saying that I think the code would be on some of the, like your bag or something. The bar would be on some things, and I was wondering how would I know, because me being blind, I would. Is there a way I would know?
Yeah, yes, Ms. Duckett, yes. It is it is let me just say that can be a challenge, but they are it is all visual, because the QR codes, they can be on they can be pretty much on anything. So it just depends if if you had access to one in specifically, and if you wanted to scan it using your device. But it's they are they're in existence. So I think the most important thing is just to be aware of QR codes happening in public and in stores and in different places, even on TVs too. Some TV commercials have it where they have the QR codes right there that you can scan with your device to access whatever they want to
Alex,
access.
Alex, she wanted to know she's blind. How would she know it? She said she's blind.
Yeah, yes, Diane. All I'm saying, it is a challenge to, of course, be able to see it, but if you're with someone and they recognize it, then at least you would,
okay.
you would know how to tell the other person if they're confused. So I think for Ms. Duckett specifically, it's just important to just be aware that it's out there.
Oh,
Because
okay.
there are times that I go to the store or to the hospital or alone. That's why I was asking the question.
Yes, I understand that. So I mean, it's it's case by case thing.
Okay.
So just to be aware of those things, and just in case someone mentions it to you, then you'll already know how to go about that.
Okay.
Alice, could she check with the Columbia House for the Blind and see if they have anything that they know about it?
Yeah, I mean, different organizations, for those in specific.
She could
Yes,
do that.
I mean, they could. So I mean, they would be, a better resource on that. But again,
Yeah.
I think the most important for you specifically, Ms. Duckett, is just to be aware that they do exist, and that that you just know the information. Okay.
All righty.
All right. Well, it's always nice to see you on, Ms. Duckett.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Hey, Wanda, how are you?
I'm fine. I missed the morning session, but I'm here for the afternoon.
Oh, certainly. It's always nice to have you on.
Yeah. Are you at the library? You at the library on Monday?
No, that's not me. I do Tuesdays and Thursdays, Miss Wanda.
Oh, Miss Wanda. Don't make me.
Yes.
I'm 36. I'm just kidding. Oh, that's right, Alex. You don't do Mondays. I forgot.
Good afternoon, Alex. I do Tuesdays. Hi,
Good afternoon.
Brenda.
Good afternoon, Alex.
Yes, hi there. Hi, Mr. John, I saw your hand up earlier. Do you have a question that I can answer? Mr. Antuono?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, hi, John. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Good, good. Do you have a question for me before we get started?
Yes. Who do I call about determining how many seminars I've attended? I think today will be the 6th one, but I'm not 100% sure.
That'll be me, sir. So I'll next week I'll give you a call. I can give you a call to update you on that. So that'll be me. But we also in the today's presentation we have a slide for all the emails that you can email. But I'm mostly in charge of that. So I'll give you a status update next week. Okay, sir?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for coming on. You have a wonderful day.
You too.
But yes, just as always, just please check your daily email on Monday. Monday, you get to see all of the events for the week. So you know all the sessions that are going on. You can write down which ones you want to attend specifically. So that way you can just get on and you already know what's being discussed. So again, on Mondays, just be sure that you read the email, and even other days too, because every day the image in the beginning changes depending on what day it is. It's always good to have that information. The highlight for the week always changes. And you can also look at the library flyer that again also changes with each of the daily reminders that you get. So please check them out. They're there to assist you in making sure you know what you like to do for the week.
Thank you, Alex.
No problem, Wanda.
I feel so bad when I missed it. I was like, oh, but I did. I mean, I was gonna take my iPad, but I didn't know it's hot. It was so hot outside.
Yes.
And plus, like, I don't know. It's the first of the month. I was like, I don't want to be out in the streets with my iPad today.
I
So,
understand. I understand. It's
but usually I
you're
take it.
good.
But the day I said, well, I'm gonna hurry home. I had to go to CVS. Let me hurry home so I can at least do the afternoon, you know. So
Alex,
Oh,
could
yeah.
I ask you a question?
And that's really cool that you're so passionate about the classes. That's me too. Like I remember when I was doing classes.
Excuse me,
and I just wanted-
Alex, could I ask you a question?
He
was
yeah,
Brenda.
Yeah, I was talking to Miss Wanda. So just really quick. Yeah, so Wanda, I definitely feel how you're feeling. We just appreciate your participation since you started in December. So again, thank you so much for your kind words as always.
all right.
Alex, I'm out with driving and I got my iPad with because I didn't want to miss today's class.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so good. See?
Yes, Miss Lynette, good job, and we appreciate your participation. It is 1:30. So Brenda, if you want to send me a direct message on Zoom or send me an email for your question, I can answer it to you that way.
I mean, I just want to ask you about the gift card. I didn't receive mine yet.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about the AT&T stuff, that's not on us. We are still working on it. So just
Okay, that's all I
whenever no one has received them yet. So we'll give you an update, or we'll give you a call, and everybody that earned a card will be receiving a call. So you just got to give us some time, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Alex.
No problem, Brenda.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. This is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
Good afternoon, Miss Teresa.
Hi,
Is it very hot in DC?
Good afternoon. Hi, Miss
Very
Jen.
hot in DC? How's the temperature there?
Good morning, everybody.
It's 90 degrees right now, Teresa.
It's hot in DC now, Teresa.
Yes, it's warm. It's warm here.
Supposed to be 90 some degrees today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I took my break prior to coming to the class and I was in an 81 degree temperature. So it's a little cooler here.
Oh, I wish I was there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my
But
car
I
said
enjoy the sun.
7 degrees outside.
Wow. Okay, so we're going into our second session of the iPad security issues and features. And today we're actually going to talk about the actual what's available for you as far as security on your iPad. And then on Monday, we're going to finish off with how to. You know, you may have questions. Today, we wouldn't have the time to show you how to. So that's why when we leave out of here, we'll have questions from you. I'll take a list of questions that you want to learn how to, and then that will be demonstrated on Monday. Okay? Clear? All right. Is Tatiana on board? Is she on board?
Hi, yes, Teresa, I'm here.
All right, so I want to
How are
welcome
you?
Help Desk Manager Tatiana again.
Good.
She's here to teach us, get us on board with the, like I mentioned, she does have a very, her undergraduate is in cybersecurity field. So she's a master at this area. And so the reason I'm having on is because she's the expert. Not only she's the expert, she can reassure you what can happen, what can't happen as far, who can access your iPad and who can't, and all this kind of stuff, and how, if they do, how it happens, okay? But before we get into that, just want to remind those of you that we're having our Juneteenth celebration on June the 16th, which is 2 weeks from today. Yeah, 2 weeks today, this time, we're all going to be in red and green and what other colors for Juneteenth, and yellow, and celebrating that anniversary. We're also going to be sharing storytelling, singing, dancing, photographs. So we're looking for participants to add to that, to share their legacy of their grandparents or parents' legacy, what stories they were told. Do they have any poems that they've written or have that they'd like to share? So please, as you can see from my screen, is my screen visible?
Yes, Teresa, you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the number you need to call if you'd like to participate. It would be 202-696-6617. We'll put that in the chat. Alex, can you put that in the chat, that number?
Yes,
So
no
in case
problem.
anybody wants to
I'll put
call.
in that number.
Yeah, in the chat. So we've got a list so far, but we'd like some more. We want to hear some of those real good stories about what you learned from your grandparents, great-grand, about this celebration. It's new to me. It's new to many of us. So the more we know, the more informed we are. As Lewis Gates puts it, we wouldn't know. We have to know our history to know our future, right? That's how he words it. Something to that. Got to know your history.
On his show.
Right, to know your future. So bring us your history, share it with us. All right, so we went
Also
through.
really quick, Teresa, that flyer, it will be sent out just by itself. Today I'm doing it right now. So if you would also like to participate, you can click on the flyer and it will send you to the participant form where you can fill out what your needs are. So that way someone can reach out to you. So please check your emails for that today.
Okay, so today we're going to look at how secure is your iPad from others and hackers, who can access your iPad, configuring your iPad to lock it down, and look at also at some of the built-in privacy and security protection of the iPad. All right, so the iPad is designed to protect your data and your privacy. Built-in privacy features minimizes how much your information is available to anyone but you, and you can adjust what information is shared and where you share it. Built-in security features help prevent anyone but you from accessing the data on your iPad and in the iCloud if you are part of the iCloud feature. As you can see, here's an image, not very clear, but I took a screenshot of Safari. I am actually locking down Safari as to what, and we'll talk about it at length more, what's going on here. All right, so one of the first things, if you decide that you like to lock your iPad down, you may have living in a home with others and you want that to lock your iPad, then it's highly recommended that you set a strong passcode to lock it. And most important thing, that you can safeguard your device. So that's your first start, is locking down your iPad. If isn't a need to do so, then, if you live alone and you're pretty comfortable with those you trust around you, then there's no need to. I don't have a lock on my iPad because I really don't do much on it to demand that it's locked down, but you might be doing that on yours, like doing banking and bill payments. I don't do that on my iPad. So the iPad does come with what is known as a biometric feature, known as Touch ID, which provides a secure and convenient way to unlock your iPad, authorize purchases and payment, and to sign into many third-party apps. Okay, and yours does not come with the Face ID, but it does come with the Touch ID. Tatiana, you want to talk a little bit about biometric? And
Sure. So biometric, or the Touch ID, is something you are. So this is a way to verify your identity based on your fingerprint. So the password, if you have a password that you create usually for your Apple ID, that's something that's something in your head, but it's a little bit less convenient versus the Touch ID, because it takes your fingerprint, the biometric of your fingerprint, and it uses to use it as another way to verify who you are. So for example, if your grandchild decides to, let me use my finger and put it on the Apple, on the iPad, it won't work, because it verifies that it's your fingerprint. Now you can put a second or even a third, set up multiple fingerprints on your Apple ID, for your Apple ID, for your iPad. So for example, my sister uses my iPad, but I have a separate fingerprint for her so that she won't get locked out of my iPad.
Okay, thank you. Very good explanation. You can control what features are available without unlocking your iPad. Yeah, so your iPad could be locked, but you still have access to some of the features. And that is done through what is called a control center. We do cover this topic during the modules. And so we could explain it further on Monday, or how to set it up, or you can wait till we're doing it on when we're covering. What module do we cover that on, Alex? The control center. I think he's gone. Anyway, it is covered in one of our modules. Then also covered in one of our modules, I think it's module 1, turn on, find my iPad, which helps you find your iPad if it's lost or stolen, and prevents anyone else from activating or using your iPad if it's missing. Yeah, this is a feature, whereas if it's turned on, it's got to be configured that if you were to misplace your iPad in your home, slip under the bed or whatever, and you think that somebody's walked away with you had a visitor and you think they took your iPad, well, someone else using a different device can help you locate or give you an idea of where your iPad is. Yes, this device will help you locate where your iPad is. Now, I read stories, though, when I was researching this, where some people are actually suing Apple on this feature, because Apple gave somebody misplaces their iPad, or they think it's stolen. Apple gives a location of where the iPad may be, and it turns out there's no such thing. So I'm just being candid with you, what I learned about this feature. So now that person who's been accused or falsely accused of stealing an iPad is now suing, yes, about this app. So it's tricky. iCloud is another area that offers a high degree of privacy. It is a service from Apple that securely stores your photos, your files, your notes, your passwords, and other data in the cloud, and keeps it up to date across all of your devices automatically. iCloud also makes it easier to share photos, files, notes, and more with friends and family. Now, iCloud is something that you could sign up for. I pay 99 cents a month for my iCloud storage. So to ease up some of my hard drive storage on my iPad, so it's not overloaded, so that much of my data, or especially my photographs, that's the one I'm really want to secure, is stored in iCloud. So in the event that my iPad is either stolen or my iPad is broken, guess what? I still have access to all those beautiful lifelong photographs that I've been collecting. And it only cost me about 99 cents a month. It's built automatically, from my account. And that's also, that data is also encrypted in iCloud, that in the event that someone breaks into iCloud, that data that's stored there is encrypted.
I have that too, Teresa.
Go ahead.
I
Go
said I
ahead.
have that service also. I have additional space from iCloud as well, because I have so many photos.
Yeah. I don't know if that there's a senior that contacted me over a year ago saying that their iPad broke and all of their vacation photographs, everything was all on it. And she was just so heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to consider 99 cents a month for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so now we're going to look at the Safari, the browser that most of you, or perhaps all of you, use. I would think all. It's on your iPad. There's an image of what the icon looks like. It includes what is known as a state-of-the-art features to help protect your privacy, defending you against cross-site tracking, and minimizing the data passed to third parties. And what do they mean by that? Now think of this browser. When you go on Safari, you don't pay to use Safari, do you?
No.
Right?
Nope.
But do you think Safari is just sitting there, not funded? It's got to have funding to keep it, right? How do you think they get their funding?
From advertising.
From advertising. So every time you use Safari to browse, to look for something new that you want to purchase, they're collecting your data and then selling it to marketing companies. So, but Safari does have a feature on it called, before we even go there, so I took a screenshot of Safari on my iPad, and what I did here is to show you how you can actually hide what you do in Safari. All right, so I took it, it's called private browsing mode. Okay, I actually placed, let's go back. I actually placed my device at this time. I went into Safari and selected private browsing, where it says here, private. Can you see it? That's what I selected. And this came up. Safari wouldn't remember the pages you visit, your search history, or your autofill information after you close a tab in the private browsing mode. So you can use that feature. Okay, you can manage your privacy and help protect yourself against malicious websites. So again, Safari helps prevent trackers from following you across websites. You can review the privacy report to see a summary of trackers that have been encountered and prevent by intelligent tracking prevention on your current web page you are visiting. Yeah, you've got control over what you visit and how much of it is seen. And so I drilled down a little bit more and I went into the settings of the iPad. So I tapped on settings, and then in the settings app, I looked for Safari. And then I said, okay, what is it that I need to begin to lock down my browsing features here? And this is what I took a screenshot of it. And notice I have prevent cross-site tracking, meaning they can't track the moment that I'm finished shopping or do what I on.
Probably just wanted to stop.
Okay, doing shopping, that Safari is no longer collecting data on what I did. I also and I hide my IP address from trackers. Now, when I say hide my IP address, you're probably wondering, Well, what do I mean from IP address? Tatiana, talk about the IP address.
Sure. So each device has its own IP address. So what that means, it's a dedicated number to a device. So it's just an identifier. That's what your IP address. So for example, your iPad, your laptop, they all have IP address. If you have, routers at home, that has an IP address. So it's an identifier for each device.
And to add to what Tatiana said, thank you. It's like your mailing address to your device. Here, you want to know how they figure out where the hackers are hacking from? Their IP address, right? It's a unique address. You and I do not share the same IP address. And my IP address applies to the area, the region I am in the USA. So yours will be in the DMV area. Yeah. You can block all cookies. Well, notice I turned that off. I don't have it on because cookies is what helps me to move from one website to the other and having to put in passwords. And so we're going to do a separate series on cookies, and I've covered it before, but we need to do more on what are cookies and why I'm not choosing to block them. I'm choosing not to block them. But I am choosing to make sure that I have fraudulent website warnings. I'm choosing to turn on privacy preserving ad measurements to check for Apple. If anybody picks up my iPad and decides to go shopping, I want that turned on because I'm using Apple Pay. And if I'm using that app feature too on Apple Pay, which is like a wallet where money is stored from my bank account to pay for purchases. And what else? And I have more than one Apple device. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, I have an Apple Watch, and I want it shared all across all of my devices. Okay, so that's an idea of when you're using Safari, how you could configure just this app alone to secure your browsing. Now let's look at what this prevent cross-site tracking is. So you can stop third-party content providers from tracking you across websites to advertise products and services. It's a good idea to ensure you have this option turned on. So where did I do this? Again, in Safari, in the app, in settings. I said I wanted the block pop-ups, meaning advertising, flashing while I'm online. But even more so, I've got it in red, I want it turned on. I want to prevent them tracking me. Okay, I went into what is called the privacy and security section of the Safari app in settings and asked the websites not track me. I've got it turned on. Fraudulent websites warning, camera and microphone access, and check again with Apple Pay. I can also clear my history and website data. Anytime you go to a website, all of that stuff is loaded into history. After a while, you may want to clear it. So where is it done? Again, you can clear it in settings. All right. So you can review and adjust your Safari settings to keep your browsing activity private from others who use the same device. So if you're sharing your iPad with someone else, you can do this, help protect yourself from malicious websites and so forth. And again, I'm in Safari and I've got it checked off. All right, now I'm moving on now to an area that I particularly wanted to talk about. And I think I'll let Tatiana probably head out on this one about what document sharing is. In a little while, I'll give you the signal, Tatiana. But earlier I shared with the seniors in the advanced section in the morning, Apple Pages. Because for those of you who used to be in the force at some point using word processing, you don't no longer have an access to a laptop, and you're wondering, well, how am I going to create my documents? How do I write my letters? How do I do all these things? Well, Apple has a really powerful app called Apple Pages. It's a word processor that lets you create stunning documents and comes included on most Apple devices, and it does on your iPad, where your team could work together from anywhere, wherever they are on your iPad, iPhone, or PC. Now, this is a powerful. We did a couple classes. In fact, we did several classes on Pages. And from there, that was the beginning of the recipe book club, because I talked in one of the trainings that you can actually create a book in Pages. Yes, the template is there where you can actually create a book in Pages. And from that, a group of the seniors decided they're going to put together an Apple, a recipe book. And it's on the way. It's actually working. We've got a few seniors here on board who are participants of that. Greer, are you one of them? Are you part of the recipe book club member? You're muted. You're muted.
Yes, she is.
Yes, I am, Teresa.
Yes. Oh, and then we have Bridget that's on board, and they had out the recipe book, and they're actually sharing this document. But there needs to be understanding of how this document is shared, who can and who can't. So Tatiana, talk about file sharing.
Yes. So file sharing is where you and other people are able to work on different files. So that could be a document, that could be a presentation, that could be pretty much anything. It's a collaborative workspace. However, when you create this file, the person that creates the file also has the authority to give access to other people. Okay, so it has to, the owner of that file, like for example, a document, they're the only ones who can grant access, give access to those, to anyone else in that workspace. So for example, they can make changes, they can make edits, alterations, but only people that have access to that file or to that document or to that presentation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you very much. So this is a pretend book that I created in Pages. It says, if, for example, I'm the owner of this cookbook, I created Pages, I can share with others for viewing and editing. I will need to give my friends permission to go access this. They just can't go in there. They have to get permission from me, the owner. All right, so as the owner of the document, I now have control over it, who can access this. So how is access done? All right, so I could send a link to anyone to access this book that I've created, or I can invite specific people who must be signed in with their Apple ID to open a document. So I can't just jump in there and move things around. I've got to sign in with my Apple ID to do so. I need to give you permission. If I want Tatiana to share this document, I must give her permission to do so. It says you could choose whether others can make changes. I can give her she can edit or she can just view it, okay? And I can also invite and allow participants to add more people to now it's up to now, let's say I invited Tatiana to access this book, and then she decided, well, I want to ask Alex to access it too. Well, all of this can happen, but it depends on how much privilege I give to Tatiana. The privilege is what matters, okay? So this is how it really works. To invite others to collaborate on a document, make sure that you are signed in with your Apple ID. You've set up Pages to use iCloud, and the document you want to share is stored where? In the iCloud Drive. Now, I'm just basically just show you the step-by-steps. It just, I can't, for example, or Tatiana, can't go into Greer's recipe book and decide that I want to move things around. I don't like this recipe, so I'm going to toss it out. I can't do that. Only individuals can do that are the ones that whoever is the owner of this recipe book or owners have access. They have to give the permission and the type of permission too. They have to give, right? So if you have any questions on this as we go through it, please raise your hand because we want you to be absolutely clear on who can access this document. Now, this is how access is granted. As you could see here, for example, if I, let me go back a little bit and see if it's, no, it's not visible. I wanted to show up in the corner somewhere here is where it says share. You tap on the share, and then that's where you begin to give the access to whomever you would like to collaborate with. And once that you get this, if you notice here, you collaborate with whomever. How do you want them to get this information? You can invite them with a link. You can export and send a document and give edit extensions and so forth. So this is a process. It's not something that, you know, you snap your finger and I'm in that recipe book. And all this is done for the security features of your document, okay? To make sure that only you who decide to share. Here it is. I took an image of it here. This is the tab that you, and you then invite whomever that you want to share it with. And only invite people who can what? I'm giving permission right here. I'm making that decision. I'm the owner of this book. I'm making that decision. I'm deciding who I'm collaborating with. Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can jump into that book right now. Only those that I give permission to. All right. So it says only invited people who sign in with the Apple ID can open the document. Recipients who don't have an Apple ID need to create one before they can. So you can't get in there without that. Okay. Permissions.
Teresa,
Go ahead.
If you see things been missing or you see things been moved around, what could have probably happened?
Oh, very good question. Thank you, Denise. You want to elaborate on that, Tatiana?
Yes, so pretty much, as Teresa was mentioning, those that were granted access based on the permissions. So permissions could be viewing, making edits. Only those people have the capability of making those changes. So if you want to look and take a look at who has the access, you might want to start questioning each other or the people in that group, because that's literally the only people who could have made any alterations, move things around. It might have been accidental and no one wants to come forward about it, but that's the truth.
Well,
line.
can I, Tatiana, can I add something? When you give people permission, there's a way you can track the changes that they make within the document. There's also a way that if the two people are in the document together, you can see who's working in the document. It'll show up as either pink or amber color, and it'll show you what they're working on. And also there's a tracking mechanism where you can track everybody's changes. You can click on it and you can see what changes are being made. But her question is something different, meaning that when she goes in her document, which she hasn't shared with anybody, they're seeing their information being moved around. There was an incident with Ann and I.
Yeah, it's not possible unless it's shared, or if it's not shared, no one else could have moved it. Also, too, if
It's
someone has
possible.
access to the iPad, now let's just say if someone else in the household has access to the iPad, was able to open and move stuff around, we have no control. If she was just working on a document alone, like if I'm working out of a Google document or a Google presentation, and I'm the only one working on that, my sister comes in the room, I didn't lock my laptop, that's a possibility. But if I'm the only one on that document, and there's nothing shared, no one has control over that.
No one.
That's the honest truth.
But we actually saw it with our own eyes.
That's right.
That's right.
Multiple people have experienced the same thing. Different people,
It can be
different time,
hacked.
location.
Well, I'm saying on our end, as an organization, there's no control. It's not possible. I know you mentioned being hacked, but there's certain circumstances depending on what you're trying to say about being hacked. So for example, if you've clicked on something that was bad or malicious, if you went on some type of website, but it's very rare. Apple products in general have very strong security on it compared to Android.
Robust is the word.
Yes, robust.
Google it. So, for example, if you all recall some years ago that somebody in court needed access to an iPhone that had some criminal information. Remember that case?
I remember.
Yeah, Apple's product is not just somebody can just go in there and move things around.
No.
So you need to check with internal.
No, we've been on
internal. It's going on internally, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this because we have other things to discuss. We can further discuss this at another point, but I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell all of you, and that's why I wanted Tatiana on board. She is a cybersecurity expert. I also know that for a fact because I taught this course. I took graduate courses in cybersecurity, and I know that has to be done either internally or some hacker who has a big interest in your recipe book for whatever reason, that they're going to break into an Apple system for what reason and move things around.
And it's very rare. I'm going to add on to what you're saying too as well. Make sure your systems are up to date because sometimes your systems can be really glitchy and problems can occur. We see it all the time at help desks. If your system is not up to date at all with the latest security features, your iPad will start acting weird. Some strange things will happen. I've seen it done many of times working at help desk. So I'm going to end it with that.
Thank you. So if you like, we'll move on to our next topic, but just wanted to get you started. Now we can carry this on perhaps in another discussion, but just to let you all know, that is not possible unless it's internal or it's being broken into. And let me tell you about attackers. Attackers have to have vested interests to go to that level. Money.
And they want money. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Monetary gain.
Yes. They have to have gains. It's called payload. That's what so please rethink what you're saying and do some further investigation. Okay? Thank you.
Teresa, I just ran into like a whole new hack today where I've had repeated phone calls, actually texts, where it says, call me as soon as possible. Then they give you their phone number. But when I researched in Google that phone number, it says that it's like a hack and they're just trying to get you to call so they can get your phone number and do stuff with it.
So yeah, that's not hacking. Hacking would mean they made their way into your device. That's just smishing. That's just all it is just trying to get you to agree to getting that. So that means so let's make sure we understand what hack means. Hack means somebody got into the device.
I just misspoke. Yeah.
I see two hands are up. Let's address them. We have Adele and then we have Carmen. Adele, please unmute, and then Carmen also unmute, and let's address your questions.
Okay, hello everyone, Adele. Early on, you talked about things that you do with your iPad and things that you don't do with it. Can you share why you do not do bill pay on your iPad? The pros and cons of it?
That's a very good question, dear Adele. Well, where do I start? That's a very long, and there's a lot to it. And I'm not saying not to or to, I don't do it.
Yes.
But I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I said, I don't do it because I have another device that I use to make my bill payments, but not because it's not secure. I don't use it. It's because I have another device that I use. I do. This morning I did my banking. I did it on my other device, not my iPad. My iPad isn't locked down anyway. It isn't locked down. So my data, I don't want my data on my iPad where anybody can walk into my house or steal my iPad and then I'll have access to my banking information. But my laptop is locked down. Locked down, and that's where I do my banking from.
So can you suggest? Thank you. Can you suggest what a person should use in place of bill pay?
Your iPad, if that's the only device you have, but if you decide to go with that, you need to lock it down. You need to put a passcode on it because the data is being saved there on it.
I see.
Banking information saved on it.
Okay.
Okay. But make sure you put a passcode on it. All right. We have Carmen. Go ahead, Carmen. Carmen on mute.
You hear me?
Go ahead.
Yes, I am currently doing research for my own low sodium cookbook. I have two questions. And I would like to copyright it once I get everything assembled. Now, how would I go about doing that through the Apple?
That's a very
I have to contact the copyright officer?
That's a good question, but you need to be at How to Publish a Book, which is what we did a couple of weeks ago. We did a series on that, how to publish your own book and get it copyrighted. I don't know when again we'll be doing it, but I can't really break it down now at this moment because it's a topic by itself. However, what I could say, Carmen, is that you could send me an email and I can show you where in the pages where you could, while you're in pages, there are information on how to do so in that actual page document.
Well, what about the taping that you did to it? You can go into
the recording is also available. Yes, thank you, Jack and Denise. The recording is also available. We did that just two Fridays ago. How to publish your own book, how to copyright it, the whole 9 yards.
Okay, now I have another question. How do you go about locking down so that nobody can break into your information?
Put a password.
We covered that a few moments ago. I don't know where you were, Carmen. We talked about how the security aspects of it. I don't want to keep repeating myself because we have other topics to cover at this point, but we did cover the Touch ID, the biometric part, and the code. If you like, you could send me an email and I could communicate with you, but to go back and repeat that again, I can't do that to the rest of the 90 odd individuals that was on board as I explained that. I must move forward.
Carmen, this will be on our YouTube channel too. It'll be uploaded.
And our help desk feature is available for that. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience. All right. I see Barbara. Your hand is up. Go ahead, Barbara. Barbara, please unmute your device. Okay, while Barbara is doing that, I think we have another hand up.
All right.
Go ahead, Barbara.
I got a deep problem. I don't know what happened over the holiday. It was just my family here, but I cannot find my notebook that I had, and it had all information in it, how to contact besides Zoom. I remember that number, but I have nothing, including my library card was fastened to this booklet. It was small and I had kept it, and I don't know who helped clean up, but nobody remembers it. How can I get, I'm going to need a new library card. I'm going to look some more, but I need a new library card. That's the big thing. I remember the letters to get to you, to the Zoom group, but nothing else.
Okay. What I would suggest next Thursday, we're having DC Public Library on board. That's where we can help you get your new library. So if you can wait that long, if you can't, then you would have to use your iPad features, going to the DCPL website and then follow the prompts on how to get a new library card. You can do that by doing that, or you can wait until Thursday when we bring them on board, and then they can address it and assist you. And they're always happy to do so, both Diamond and Jordan. They love to help the seniors to do
I find
so.
that the help that's very helpful, and never, and always polite with helping. I think that's important too. Okay.
Thank you, Barbara. Hey, there you go, Tatiana. Take your accolades.
Thank you.
Okay. So now that the hands are down, we're moving ahead now. Again, I'm going back to the pages. Keep in mind with pages, only those you give permission to can move things around in pages. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about the Apple ID. Why have an Apple ID? Okay. So your Apple ID provides access to your data in iCloud and your account information for services like the App Store and the App Music and even more. So your Apple ID is like your key to your Apple account, which allows you, just like we talked about Pages, to access shared documents in Pages. You have to log in with your Apple ID. That's one of the reasons why you need an Apple ID. I'm sure Apple has more in mind, much more than that, benefits to it, but that's what they've shared with us. Because if you think of an Apple ID, you think of the information you need to give out to get the iPad in your name. You've got to give out information so that Apple knows who's got an ID, an iPad, and perhaps where they're located too, based on the IP address. So there's more to it than that, but your Apple ID is like your key or your credit card or a number or whatever it is to access Apple products. All right. Now, Apple does have a feature in cloud that's known as passkeys. Now, passkeys is a way to manage access. In other words, let's read about here. Passkeys lets you sign into website and app accounts with Face ID or Touch ID instead of a password. Yeah, you don't always have to have a password to access it, because a passkey doesn't leave the devices where you're signing with your Apple ID, and because it's specific to website or app you create it for, it's protected from leaks and phishing attempts. And unlike a password, you don't have to create, guard, or remember it. So what is this passkey? What is passkey? They're saying that passkey is a system set up, again, by Apple, those using iCloud, that it's almost like a safe where things are, passwords and everything are kept in there. But instead of you have to remember this password, you get a combination, a code, passkey, whatever it is, to unlock, to use for example, if you have certain, like you want to pay your utilities online and you need a username and then you need a password to log in. Like this morning, I had to make my loan payment. So I had to access the bank to make my loan payment. I could put all of my credentials in this passkey system here and not have to be bothered with remembering the username and my password each time to log in to my bank to pay my loans or whatever it is. All of it would be held in passkey. It's an iCloud feature. It's encrypt again, not readable by the human eye, only by a machine. And so this is another system, but I'm not saying that you should get into it. I'm just saying it does exist. And if you're doing a lot, bill paying and stuff, yeah, you may want to go here and you're doing your banking or using these various websites on your iPad. But if you're just doing the mundane things of life, searching the web, you don't need to use passkey. And I'm positive that it does cost there, but it's a security feature that's available with iCloud, and it does cost. They're saying the fastest easy way to sign in to apps and websites is, it says, Apple makes it easier for user to sign into your apps and website using your Apple ID. Instead of filling out forms, verifying email addresses, and choosing new passwords, you can use sign in with Apple to set up an account, start using your app right away. All accounts are protected with two-factor authentication for superior security, and Apple wouldn't track users' activity in your app or website. So that's another feature available. All right, so this is what it looks like if you want to sign up for it. I'm sure there's a cost to it though. Now, your iPad on a hold has built-in features. Every account using signing with Apple is automatically protected with two-factor authentication. On Apple devices, users are persistently signed in and can re-authenticate anytime. And in your case, not with a Face ID, but with a Touch ID. What is a two-factor authentication? So I'll get Tatiana take this one again.
Yes. So so two-factor authentication, it's having 2 or 3 more secure ways to sign into something. So it's actually the most secure thing. So for example, as we talked about, like the Touch ID is something you are, then like your password, something this one, you can have a passcode and you can have, you can use your fingerprint. So sometimes there's 3. Sometimes, I don't know if many of you who call the help desk, but if you had to do your password reset, for example, they would either give you a call with, Apple will give you a call with that 6-digit code, or they'll send you a text with that because they want to verify, they want to make sure that you are who you say you are. So one thing about Apple, they do take really great measures to make sure that not anyone is just trying to get into your, steal your data or get into your information. So two-factor authentication is really a strong method of keeping your data safe and just preventing anyone from getting into your iPad as well, or any device.
Okay, thank you. So again, it's something like a passcode. It's something you like something you have, like a key, or something you are, meaning your thumb for your thumbprint for your iPad. So in other words, this is, think of your garage door code. It's knowledge factor, or your house key is possession factor. Here's another built-in feature for websites and apps that offer two-factor authentication. Phil is automatically generated verification code without relying on an SMS message or additional app.
Can you sprinkle some salt on the wing?
Okay, let me mute this person. Okay, thank you. Barbara, I see your hand is raised. Do you have a question, Barbara?
No, I have a statement.
Oh, go ahead, Barbara.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. You know what? I have my banking done. I set up a thing where the money is drawn each month at a time, so that I don't have to worry about what I think you're saying. just that I set up whatever bank statements, whatever things need to be, the gas, the electricity, the water, all of that I set up so it is paid on time to those particular companies.
So you do it on your device, Barbara? How did you organize
No,
it?
I set it up on the computer.
There you go.
So could you set it up on the iPad and set it up so that it would be your bills, those that you know, and the amount and time? Could you use the iPad to set up that?
Okay, so that sounds like a banking feature, right?
Well, I
Does it seem
guess
like,
you.
is it
Can I say
banking?
something on that, Teresa?
Come through your bank, and you can access your bank through your iPad. But if you decide to do that, you need to keep your iPad locked down. If you decide to access your bank,
okay,
using your iPad, make sure you have a passcode to access, or what is known as a Touch ID, biometric.
Yeah, you know, I have the iPad lock on here, but you know what? I am alone about between 1 and 3 o'clock, and in the evenings, and I'm afraid that I'm at my age, I might forget the numbers that I need to use to open my iPad. And
Yeah.
And
Yep,
I've been
that's a legitimate concern, Barbara. Very much so. And it does happen. It happens.
Yes. And I have a pink book. If you can find the telephone, and the children call it the Bible. I think I'm just going to write those numbers down in the pink book and put them under I for iPad. And
good
for somebody if they have to come in. But you know, it's hard to find those old telephone books now. They tell me. I've been asking the children, do we need a new one? And because some of the spaces have changed things and we need to change those. So I've been worried, I've been thinking about that because I'm alone times and I don't want to lose. But now I've lost the whole book with everything in it. And I've been looking around while we're talking, and I've had the children looking around.
You know what I do? And you know what I do with some of my information? I take pictures of it. I take pictures of it.
Okay.
That's in my notebook. I take pictures of it using my smartphone. And that way I have it here in case I forget.
I don't have a smartphone.
Okay.
As hard as my phone gets is the one I answer.
Miss Walker,
I'm listening.
you can find a telephone book at Walmart in Clinton, and you also can find one on Amazon.
Okay.
So somebody to look on their website because I just bought one.
Okay, good. I'll remind. See, I don't get out. The only time I get.
I'm saying that, baby. That's why I told you to have somebody go online for you and look
Thank
for
you. And I'll
Okay.
let them do it. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you, Barbara. All right, I see Adele. Adele, your hand is up. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Adele.
I just wanted to say, we've been talking about bill pay and you talk about the bank. It can be any banking institution, which would include credit unions. And I just wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing, Adele.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes, Adele.
Yeah.
Each institution probably has an app on the iPad and so that way you can set up that auto pay, that bill pay, whatever you need. So most of the time there is an app for that. So just look it up in the App Store and see if it's available to you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia, I see your hand is up. Cynthia, go ahead and unmute and followed by Lynette. Cynthia, unmute.
Okay, what if you're getting older now and your mind don't even go into the app or paying bills and what you're supposed to do and this, that, and the other? You're in the hospital and you're going through this and that and the other. And somebody needs your information, what do you do?
Ah, good.
And you can't
That's a
remember,
good question.
and you
Do
can't
you have
remember.
any loved ones that you trust?
Yeah, and you can't remember to tell them because you don't want them to know because you don't trust them because you don't know who to trust. Blah, blah. So what do
Oh
you
my goodness. Yep. And you don't trust
If
them either.
I can say a method that I do. So sometimes, for example, I can give my mom, my mother, for example. So a lot of her information on her phone, when she was trying to transfer information over, she forgot a lot of the information. So that means signing in, like passwords to those accounts, things like that. So unfortunately, if you have nobody that you trust or anything like that, each organization or each place that you have that you need to sign in with, you're gonna have to go through the forget password steps for that account in order to. So you have to go through verification process, but you'll have to take time. It's gonna take some time, but if you want to do this by yourself, you're gonna have to go through that route to get that information back. So that you have to verify who you are, create a new password, try to write it down, and keep it somewhere safe. But yeah, that's something, just a general thing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, we've got Lynette. Go ahead, Lynette.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I've been listening to all of this online pay stuff, and I don't do any of it because I don't trust it, first of all. But I go to my bank to have all of my expenses, like my mortgage and my car insurance and my house insurance, everything's that's the same amount every month. I have them take it directly from my bank. And therefore I won't be subjected to, an online scam or something, because the bank they're going to the bank and the bank is paying them. I've authorized the bank to pay them every time they come every month. So I don't have to worry about it. So if I went in the hospital and this came up at a time like that, it would automatically be paid. And the only thing I write a check for is my utility bills. But that's how I handle it.
Thank you for sharing, Lynette. Diane, go ahead. Go ahead and unmute, Diane. I see your hand is up.
There are people
when,
at banks.
When I went in the hospital, I wrote down all the information for my son and told him where to get it just in case I didn't get out the hospital. You know what I mean? So, but when I got out the hospital, I changed everything to a different number. Not that I didn't trust him, but I just didn't want nobody to control my stuff, my banking information. And I had a scare. I was telling them before that somebody said they was going to take $6,800 out of my bank. And I think I told y'all, I immediately called the bank and had them to put the security that they do on my account to make sure can't nobody get into my account. And I also had them I told them all the things that had to be paid the first of the month. And that was the only thing that came out of my account. So I think I did due diligence to watch my stuff. And I go every 2 weeks and watch what I did in my account. That's it.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. I've got one more and then I'm going to move on. At this point, Ms. Duckett, I'll take yours and then we'll move on to our next slide. Go ahead, Ms. Duckett.
I just wanted to share that, Teresa, the idea that you were saying about taking pictures, it's a very important one. I'm totally blind, and it really comes in handy. Although I have them to take things out of my account monthly, like the lady was saying, but I still have someone, at least one or two people, that we have pictures of important documents, your bills, and all. it's a serious matter, because just like you said, you don't know who will do thus and so. And I think that's a thing that we all need to consider, is having pictures taken out of your assessments.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Ms. Dockett. Thank you. Yep, it helps for me taking pictures. All right, so our current slide says you must manage the information you share with people and apps. All apps are required to ask your permission before tracking you or your iPad across websites, and apps owned by other companies for advertising or to share your information with a data broker. You can change permission later. You can stop all apps from requesting permission. Yes, apps will, once you sign into their ask, you know, if they could share, some of them will ask you, they want to know your location, all these different things. Say no. Say no to them. Okay? Say no to them. All right. So you can control what you share with these apps. You can review and adjust the data you share with apps, the location information you share, the hardware you share, how Apple delivers advertising to you in the App Store, such as the app news and stocks. You don't have to say yes to anything on access websites. In fact, don't share information. Say no. Okay? You usually see this little thing coming up, asking permission. Say no. I do see someone by the name of Grace that has a question. Not Grace. Let's see. First is Tom Gregory. I'll answer your question in a little while that you post in the chat. I'll get to that as soon as I finish with this mail section. Protect your email privacy. In other words, turn on mail privacy protection to make it harder for senders to learn about your mail activity. Mail privacy protection hides your IP address, so senders can't link it to your other online activity or use it to determine your exact location. Mail privacy protection also prevents senders from seeing whether you've opened the email they sent. Yeah, you can make, if you're sending mail from your mail app that you have on your iPad, you can, and this is basically how it works. It says when you subscribe to iCloud Plus, Hide My Email Address allows you to generate unique random email addresses that you forward to your personal email account. You don't have to share your personal email address when filling out forms or signing up for newsletters on the web or when sending emails. Yeah, just about everywhere you go online right now to move from one level to the next, they want your email address. And, you know, before you know, you're bombarded with all this mail. And so after a while, you get tired of it. So you can hide your email address. All right. So there is a feature in iCloud, as you could see, this is a screenshot of mine. I took recently where I can go in and actually set up how to hide my email address in here. Okay. And so I do so by basically saying, for example, I have like 3 different email addresses. I have one for high security, meaning Gmail, where all my bill payments activity takes care as far as addresses, a username. I have a Yahoo account for junk mail. You know, you want my email address? Okay, have my Yahoo. And then, of course, I have my work email that I don't use for any personal business. But so I have most of my, if I'm doing something, I have it all forwarded to my junk mail email address, especially if I'm doing something that I really don't want to them to have my real, my personal, like my Gmail account. I say I want all of my junk mail forwarded to this this Yahoo account that I don't really, care about much. All right. I think we covered that. We did file collaboration. Let's talk about adware. Do you want to touch on this, Tatiana, on adware?
Sure, yes, I can do that. All right. So, okay. So what is adware? Adware is unwanted malicious software that does, so it secretly installs itself on your device, and it displays advertisements and pop-ups. So adware, for example, if you visit a website and you may see coupons or something for some type of product, right? You might see ads for that. Or I don't know if you know this, but have you ever visit a website and then all of a sudden you went to another website and that's ads from the website you just shopped on comes up and you're just like, how did this happen? Is this a coincidence? I do that all the time. So, but no, what happens is when you're on, for example, if you shop on Amazon or any types of stores online, there is what is called cookies, right? So adware can track your online behavior, which is called adware tracking. And it displays those ads that you see. So for example, if I were to shop at Macy's or something, and then I just happen to go to another website and I see some Macy's ads, that's basically what that means. So these ads can, sometimes they can just be ads that have no intention of doing anything to your device, right? They might just be harmless, but some of them actually, if you click on them or push them, can redirect you to somewhere else that might ask you for personal information or might install something like infect your device that you might not want, and it can do some real harm or real damage. So it's important, if you do see those ads, it's important to don't even click on them at all. It's just safer that way. Not all, like I mentioned, not all ads are bad, but it's just better not to click on them at all. I would rather you go to the website itself, just search for it. Okay, so what are pop-ups? So pop-ups can be really annoying, but you don't see them as often. Pop-ups used to happen a lot in like more down in the years before, but they still occur. Okay, so pop-ups, they can include advertisements, offers, notices, and alerts. A lot of times pop-ups appear when you mistype or misspell a website. So you should always just double check that you're typing in. This doesn't happen with all misspelled websites, but sometimes I'm going to give you examples. So like youtube.com, if it's misspelled, you might get some weird pop-up. Now, pop-ups can also be harmless, right? They might not download anything or infect your device. However, they can pop up. You might have a pop-up that says, for example, it's called scareware or malvertising. It'll say, warning, your iPad has been infected with the virus. The reason why I know this is because there were 2 instances that seniors called the help desk, and this exact message popped up. And I knew exactly what to do because I knew it was just a pop-up from a website that was misspelled. So pop-ups, it's ultimately just to scam you, to make you fear, to be scared. And I hear a lot of you, just hearing from a lot of your testimonies of what you experience. It sounds like you guys are doing amazing by checking, like with your bank, you're checking with calling the help desk before you do anything else. So you're taking those steps to make sure that this is safe, this is legitimate before I do anything else. So I applaud you guys for that as well. And so my saying is, don't let your curiosity get the best of you. If you feel like you want to click on something, you should maybe ask somebody that you trust first, or like I said, give us a call because you don't know if that can do harm to your device.
Thank you. Wonderful. All right. Thanks for sharing, Tatiana. So these are the different types of, this is what I found online. Adware that might pop up, that, as Tatiana said, it doesn't really happen as frequently as it used to, but years ago, all you used to see are pop-ups. Don't happen that often anymore. All right, so let's talk a little bit. I think the Assistant Attorney General last week touched on this, but we'll touch on it because we realized that it does come in the form of email, which means, you probably will receive it or already receive it. And it's called money muling. Money mules are people who at someone else's direction receive and move money obtained from victims of fraud. Some money mules know that they have been recruited to assist criminal activities. And then there are those that don't know. And you could fall victim to being a money mule. And it's easily done more than you think of. So because emails, texts, fake job posts, ads, or telephone calls that promise to pay you money are little or no effort. You've got to look out for those things. A good example is that some years ago, I applied for I wanted to do part-time work. So I saw this called personal assistant. I applied, become a personal assistant. Next thing you know, in a few days, I got a check in the mail. Not in UPS for $2,400. And I haven't done anything yet, but I'm receiving $2,400. Well, right away, I knew something is wrong. So of course, I knew because I'm in cyber what's going on, but I wanted to push it a little further. So I said, let me call the bank. I think I went into the bank. I took the check in there. I said, tell me, what do you think about this check? And they explained to me what was going on. But I wanted to see how the bank works with checks like that. And it is true. What that person wanted me to do was to take that money. I become a mule, holding money of theirs that they got through criminal, whatever way. And then that money now is held in my account. And guess what? I don't have to tell the rest of the story. Anybody knows what's the rest of the story? Is there anybody it's happened to that want to share about it? Anybody been used?
They take all your money.
Well, I just saw it on Judge Judy the other day, and it went just the way you explained it. He gave her a check to put in her account and said, "I'll give you half of it back," and she was out of $4,000.
There you go. There you
And
go.
a young lady. She was young like Tatiana.
Yeah, but it could happen to anybody. Anybody could happen to. So please, if you get a check in the mail that you know, or you get it via email, whatever it is, please know that it's trash. Know that it's no good. They're recruiting you. And then you pay a hefty price. I think we had someone last week said it happened to them and they had to shut down their bank account. They had to do all these things. They had to put it in place to lock their system down. All right, so I'm going to look at some questions. I see some hands are up. Ms. Duckett, did we get you last time, or do you have something else that you want to? Ms. Duckett?
You already answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll take your hands down. And then Barbara, do you have another question, or is this?
Yeah, I have a statement. In the
Go
bank.
ahead.
I have a daughter who worked in the bank. And there are people there who can look at what's happening on accounts, and they will notify if they think something odd is happening. So in the banks, there are people who are good, who will look at accounts as they go through, as they come through, especially those that are a bit shaky, where we have young people maybe in somebody's account, and they keep writing checks or something of that sort, and some banks have people who look at those, who notice those things, and they've been able to save some people too by doing that. So just know that there are some pluses in your bank.
Yep. Thank you for sharing wise information, Barbara. Thank you. So we've got several hands raised. We've got what, 4? We'll address those. I've got a couple more slides, and then we have the big spin the wheel. So I'm going to cut off our questions after Alfonso. You will be the last question, and then we'll go into spinning the wheel. So go ahead, Mandy. Unmute.
Okay,
Unmute, Mandy.
I don't have a question. I just have a statement I'd like to make.
No, I'm asking Mandy. Mandy, she's next. She's next.
Oh,
Matt,
okay.
go ahead and unmute. I'm asking you to unmute, and then we'll go with Carmen, followed by Brenda, and then Alfonso. Yeah, you're the last on the list here. Mandy, are you there? Okay, so we'll move to Carmen. Carmen, unmute. Ask your question. Carmen, are you there? All right, well, we don't have that much time, so I'll move to Brenda.
Okay,
who's
well,
already-
I just, okay, I just want to make a statement. Whenever I get those kind of things, those kind of bogus looking checks in the mail, I shred them and put them in the
Okay,
trash.
there you go.
If
Good
it
advice.
doesn't look right, I shred it or tear it up and throw it in the trash.
Okay.
Sorry, I was unable to unmute, but I'm good now. I just have
Okay,
two
go
quick
ahead, Mandy.
questions, please. When on your slide, my first question is where it says you might get like a pop-up alert that says your iPad is infected, don't call Apple. So assuming it's just fake, what do we do? Do we just turn off the iPad and then turn it back on and it'll go away?
So yeah, this pop-up is extremely harmless. It does that to alert you, but it's not real. It's just to put fear in you. So what happens is all you actually have to do is to go back, actually it's a website. So that pop-up is stemmed from the website you were on. So all you actually have to do, don't click on that pop-up. There's a back button on the web browser in Safari. You just click that. Or you can go to, actually a good thing to do is actually just tap on where you would type in the website and just put in google.com. Just put in another website to redirect you from that website. So that's all. It's completely harmless, but if you tap on it, who knows what happens? So I would suggest not to tap on it, but it's just to scare you. So it's not real. It says don't call Apple, just to scare you. So
Okay. And then my second question, like with Outlook accounts, and this is new as of like maybe the last 3 months, unless you upgrade to a premium account, immediately when you open your emails, the first line you're going to see at the top is just a bunch of ads. It's like an email for like just different stores or different organizations, things like that. So I do swipe and delete them, but accidentally sometimes while you're swiping to delete, it opens that email. So could there be like malicious things implanted in those?
that's a good question. So you said you when you're swiping just the emails?
No, to delete, like if you swipe left, it just automatically goes in the trash.
Okay. I don't think so. It might just be one of those ads that are pretty harmless.
Yes.
Because the thing is, you would know if your iPad's infected. There are just so many things that would happen. So I think you're in a good spot. I'm not familiarized with the Outlook, but just hearing from what you're saying about you're swiping and deleting, I think it's pretty harmless. But you would know if there's an infection on your iPad. But it sounds like you're doing a good job with deleting those.
Yeah. So if someone is, are you going to know, or could it be like a silent thing where they're just watching your activity and collecting information? And you know?
Yeah. So there's various ways, but I don't think so you're talking more of like spyware. It's rarely happens on an iPad. I'm gonna say rarely. And usually hackers, they go for bigger businesses. So unless they're like low level, they're not really looking for information of just like us or but usually I think you're good to go. I can't really give you an answer based on because I can't see what you're looking at or anything like that. But just hearing from what you're saying, I think it's pretty harmless.
Okay, that's it. Does it answer your question, Mandy? All right, so we've got two more questions to go, and then I need to address some questions on the chat, and then of course Alex will take the wheel after that. So Brenda, go ahead. If you can make it brief, and Alfonso, make it brief.
Sure. Well, I just wanted to add that on Facebook, there's some people that are pretending that they're your friends, and they'll tell you, oh, did you know about the grant of so and so? And they'll have a link that they want you to tap. So that's another area, that you have to be aware of. So, and a lot of these people I haven't spoken to in years, but they're asking me how you doing and how's the family, like they pretending like they know you. So you've got to be aware of those
Hello, Pam.
scams as well.
You left your earbuds here, didn't you?
Thank you. Thank you,
Your
Brenda.
little-
And then the last person is
your
Alfonso. Go ahead,
earbuds.
Alfonso. Your turn.
Huh?
Alfonso.
Yeah, I was reading an article where, when he said don't click onto those links, where this young lady, she clicked onto this link and it directed her someplace else and took her on a student loan. It was $7,000.
Great day.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Is that it, Alfonso?
Huh? Yeah, that's it.
That's it. All right. Let's address some of these questions in the chat because we don't want to overlook those in
Teresa,
the
did you
chat.
see the message I sent you?
Yeah. So you took care of that. The
Yes, I took
Tom
care of that.
Gregory one.
Yeah, I
So
don't
then
think
we have one from Grace. Grace is saying, I would like to recommend TEDx to do a presentation for the class, the young lady that assisted me. But who is TEDx, Grace? Then can Octo be helped in trying to recover a lost or stolen iPad? Tatiana, you want to talk about that one?
I did. I answered in the chat for Tom.
Oh, you
That's
did?
Tom's.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the one I talked about, Teresa.
Oh, that's the one. Well, there's one up here that I wanted to address. Then, okay, so it says here from Tom Gregory, it says in settings, our iPads state that they are supervised and managed by Octo. What is Octo and
What's that?
What have they done and what are they doing with our devices? Very good question. All right, so this is, and
Who are they?
Right. So first to begin, Tatiana, you could jump in because you probably know more than I did. When this program, when Octo is the ones who actually, well, at first it was the Department of Aging that purchased the iPads. They purchased it. Then they were handed over to Octo to load the apps, the additional apps on and prepare it for distribution. They use what is called a server and they loaded all of, like at one time, at the first one, we had like 500 iPads. And so within, they didn't go from one iPad to the next to load these apps in. They had to do it through a larger scale through a server, something called a server, that they loaded it in and then that distributed it to all the iPads, right? Am I right, Tatiana?
Correct.
I think
Yes.
we call it now the MDM. So now Octo was the one who did that. So who is Octo? Octo is the District of Columbia technology, how can I say?
Officer. If they're the office of
Officer.
the Chief Technology Office. Sorry.
They're the ones that run all the technical stuff to do with the district government. They handle all that stuff, technology aspects of it. So why is it then they were given from the iPad to take care of it, to get these apps on and prepare them for distribution? Now, do they still have access to these iPads? No. But I have to say, and I'm going to apologize, and I've had this question before, they neglected to take off what you read on your iPad, neglected to do so. The person who did it, after doing that, they were supposed to take off that reading that says our iPads, which says supervised and managed by Octo. That is done by error. We apologize. We do get, do you still get those calls, Tatiana, on that note?
No, actually, we do not. We do not get those calls.
Okay, but I used to get them a lot back then when I was on the help desk. So does that answer your question, Greg? I hope it can. I hope it did. Okay. And then I think
Thank you.
what is the help? Does it
Thank
answer
you.
your question? Okay. I think that's it. I think I've addressed it. I'd like to, right? That's it. As far, all right, Alex, it's your thing.
Yes, good. I do have to run, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I'm gonna go ahead and share the wheel. Again, I pulled up these names around 2:15 or so. So you must have been in the meeting at least before 2:15. Again, we'll be awarding 3 iPad accessories. Again, it's all random. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and get that started for you guys. I will get that. Oop, sorry, I will get that set up. You guys can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So our first winner for today is Mr. Tom Gregory. So congratulations, Tom. Again, I'll be calling all of the winners on Monday to confirm what you've won, either any of our iPad accessories. So congratulations to Mr. Tom for being our first winner. And then let's go ahead and see. Yeah, let's see who went ahead and won our second prize. Again, all of our entries are from who is participating today. Congratulations, Miss Anthony, for winning a prize today, and congratulations for winning an iPad accessory. And last but not least, let's see who wins our last prize for today. And again, we appreciate your participation in learning more about the security features on your iPad. All right, Miss Geraldine, congratulations to Mr. Tom, Miss Laverne, and Miss Geraldine. You all have won an iPad accessory. Again, I'll be giving you a call next Monday to confirm what you would like. And just before I go, I did send out that participant form to everyone. They should have received it at 2:45 today if you would still like to participate in the Juneteenth celebration. So please check your email and fill out that form if you would like to participate. But again, thank you so much for your participation, and you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Alex, for that wonderful job. All right, to wrap it up, our library trainings next Monday at Northeast, 330 7th Street from 12:30 to 3:30. Tuesday, June 6th, MLK, 901 G Street. Wednesday, Lamont Riggs, 51 South Dakota Avenue Northeast, 12:30 to 3:30. And then Thursday, the Anacostia at 1800 Good Hope Road, 1:30 to 4:30. Now, keep in mind, these are one-on-one, face-to-face. And to get that one-on-one attention, you must call the help desk to schedule your time. Okay? 202-800-6868. Or if you'd like to send an email, you can email to library@wildtech.org to reserve your slot. Okay? All right. So once again, I'd like to thank Tatiana, our help desk manager, for her excellent explanation on cyber. That's where she's an expert at. And Alex for helping out with other questions, and of course, spinning the wheel, and your participation and your questions. Good questions.
Teresa, it was a nice presentation. I want to know, when Alex spin his wheel, can he make it a little bigger so we can see it? Because I can't hardly see the names on it.
There are over 100 names on the wheel, Denise, so it's just whoever popped up. So unfortunately, there's no other way around that, but it's random.
Make it a little bigger, the names so we can see it.
Again, there are over 100 names on there, Denise, so it would have been hard regardless. So
you can't make
I'm
it bigger.
sorry.
Denise.
Oh,
You just gotta trust us.
squint my eyes to see the names.
You just gotta trust us.
It's nice. It's nice though, but it's just I can't hardly see it.
My grandmother prayed for me. Trying to make sure your name was on the screen.
Yeah. No, I know. I ain't worried about that. I'm just saying. I just want to see it.
Denise,
Just
you
little,
can pinch the
little
screen
small.
open further. You can
You
pinch
can
your
zoom
screen.
in. You can use your zoom
Yeah,
lens.
use your zoom and pull your screen bigger.
Yep, pinch it. Use your fingers to zoom.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep, you can do that.
All
Brenda,
right.
you have a
Yeah,
question?
I just wanted to say that I got another midterm form to complete today. And also I got a message that my iPad is going to update to the 16.5. So
Yeah,
do I
mine's
have to
already
do it
updated.
or is it they do
Yes,
it?
yes, Brenda, just like we go over during each of our updating sessions, you can either have it installed then or later, but you can also just go into general and hit software update, and then you can either install it manually. I would suggest you do it, just always making sure you're
Do it
updated to the latest
manually.
version. And I'm not sure why the midterm survey was sent again to you specifically.
Well, you know, they were different questions this time, so
Yeah, so you only have to complete it once. So even if you get it, but if you know that you've already done it, then you could ignore it. Our midterm survey team contacts those who have not filled it out. So if you've already done it, then you don't have to worry. But thanks for letting us know.
Okay.
Yeah, Alex, because that's what I meant to ask you too. It'd be saying automatic. So that means I don't know, but
Yes,
I
but
go
it's always
and
good to
update
check
it
yourself,
anyway.
you know, so
go
it's always
up-
good to double check. So
But I always
I'm not-
update it anyway because it says automatic. That means it's supposed to be already installed, right? Your
So
update.
those are for the small, those are for the big updates. So the software updates requires you to requires you to actually go and do it. So the bigger ones, so like the 15.5, you know, all of those, yeah.
They're called upgrades. So every year an upgrade comes out, every month or so an update comes out.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. It's past our 3 o'clock hour. I want to end with a request. Anybody have a request, a song? And we'll wrap it up with that.
You know our song, Teresa.
Yeah, but we have to be open to others in case, you know, we got to be open to all.
I remember Mama.
Pardon
by
me?
Shirley Caesar.
Oh, you want to, and you want to request what?
I remember Mama in a happy way.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. Where would they be at the Martin Luther King Library for class?
Where?
Friend.
All right. So I am not.
That's
Alex
the
is probably
information
he had a
desk.
meeting. But if you check in at the information desk, well, first you need to call to get your reservation. Then you can ask that question.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll go ahead and play this song. Let me make sure that, let's see, share computer sound. Is this the one the person requested? All right, so we're gonna remember. All right.
This might sound a little crazy, but
And
if you
well,
have the
you can
YouTube
all-
app
you
on
can
your
leave.
phone,
Anybody
you
who
could be
wants to
using
leave,
it
go
to
ahead,
create a
leave.
new
This
passive
is
income
just,
stream
I
for
always,
yourself without
Friday
ever creating your own
afternoons
videos
end up
or even starting your own YouTube.
with whatever song we'd like to
Everybody
wrap
have
up.
a nice weekend.
Everybody have a good weekend.
Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Have
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Everyone have a good one.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Teresa. Thank you, Alex. Miss Teresa, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.
You too. Thank you.
Hey, call you back
Enjoy your
because I'm No, we already Mommy already
But the Lord saw us through. Mama kept the family
her concern.
together.
And four,
Oh.
I'm a be here.
Tell her.
Rosemary,
All right.
mute Rosemary.
I'm sorry. I do apologize.
What the hell?
It might have seemed empty, but it was more than others had. It had a lot of love way down deep inside. Yes, it did. And I remember Mama in a happy way. I remember Mama in a happy way. Now, Mama is sleeping in the bosom of Jesus Christ. Yeah. Somehow I know she's smiling. She's smiling right now. Look at her there. One day I'll see her again. How happy I will be. Yeah. I remember Mama in a happy way. My brothers and sisters, they're living far apart. Although my mom is gone, she's right here in our hearts.
Amen.
We all gonna pull together and stay in the holy place. Why? I remember Mama in a happy way. Oh, I remember Mama in a happy way. You know, I remember my mama.
So much, Mommy.
When I was about 12 years old. I was going to church, playing church. How many of you used to play church? Let me see your hand. Yeah, some of you still play. And I remember, I go down Mount Calvary, that's where I belong. And I jump and I shout and I come back home.
Mount Calvary.
My church.
But I was still disobedient. I would talk back. And one day, me and Ann here,
You ain't playing no more.
we decided that we want to play church. Let me tell you what we did. We went out in the back and started playing church. And my brother was a pastor. Me and Ann here, we were the members in the church. And let me tell you something. It's hard to come in contact with Jesus.
Yes, it is.
And still be the same. I don't care who you are. I don't care. You can be the chiefest of sinners. You will never be the same.
Once you come in contact with Jesus.
And I've forgotten I've been going down to the church, playing church. Came home still disobedient. Didn't want to wash the dishes. Didn't want to bring the clothes in off the line. Didn't want to do anything. Mama said, I'm sick of you going down to that church playing with God. Me and there, we went outdoors. We started playing church. Sat down on the bottom step. My brother was a preacher. And we were the members in the church. And he put some old glasses and put them right here on his nose. And he said,
didn't bring it yet?
He said, I want you to jump up and shout Jesus 3 times.
Okay, all right.
And I jumped up and I shouted Jesus 2 times. But when I jumped up the 3rd time, something got a hold of me. I couldn't sit back down. And ran in the house.
All right, thank you. Have a good weekend.
So Shalane is out there playing with the Lord.
Okay,
Mama
bye.
came to the door. But she
She
looked
ain't
out there
playing
and saw
church.
me, shouting and dancing all over the backyard, tears running down my face. It's just a life. Mama looked out there and she said, she ain't playing this time. Hallelujah! And I remember Mama. Oh, Lord.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up now.
Amen.
I say
Amen.
bye.